Sometimes as a homemaker, I wish I had a 9 to 5. And hearing myself say that, I know it's not true, but it can be so easy to get caught up in a comparison game. I've heard other more seasoned homemakers talk about how difficult it was at first to fill a whole day's worth with things to do. And I feel like I'm still figuring that out. Not that I don't have enough to do, but more so, I don't know what to do first, especially when I get the baby down to sleep. Should I clean the bathroom or make banana bread or lay down, shut my eyes, or maybe I should catch up on my favorite show? Being the only one in charge of my time and how I manage it is actually more challenging than I thought it would be, especially on days like today, if I'm honest. Today, the baby woke up earlier than I expected, and I felt like I just could not get myself to adjust my expectations quick enough. I was lagging, and then, since we're being honest, I started blaming my husband, who had nothing to do with it. He usually takes the baby in the mornings to let me sleep a little bit, but he couldn't today because he had an appointment before work. So here I was, tired, feeling sorry for myself, and wishing for the structure of a 9 to 5. I had to basically drag myself to the kitchen to make these English muffins. And as we sat down to eat, I realized what a fool I've been. Right now, this is the life I've been given. This is the opportunity that I get to steward. And as I work on restocking my pantry, I don't want to wish it away. I love sourdough crackers, and I never really make them because I build them up like they're going to be hard in my head, but they're really not. So I'm going to make some crackers that we can enjoy for a few days. All right, I'm doing about a cup of discard. I fed my starter this morning, so that's not quite discard. It's actually like actively rising right now, but I think it'll work just the same. About 1/4 cup olive oil. Hey, bud. And then just some rosemary and some salt. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of water because my starter is kind of thick. It's looking much better. Almost ready to be baked. All right, so I'm gonna get a baking sheet. Looking good. Now I'm going to sprinkle it with about a tablespoon or so of rosemary and a little bit more salt. This will bake at 325 for about 30 minutes, and then I'll cut them with a pizza cutter, put them back in for about another 30 minutes. So I've been practicing making a home for about 2 years. Before that, I had zero skills in the kitchen, but now I feel like the best place for me to start if I'm having a rough day is in the kitchen. I found it to be, for the most part, a very rewarding and intuitive space. So on mornings like this one, where I just cannot drag myself into productivity, I like to slowly start by putting on one of my favorite podcasts and doing something relatively easy that will build my momentum. These crackers were a great example of that. You don't have to wait for them to bake. They are very low effort, and the outcome is very delicious. Cornbread is one of my favorite breads to make when I don't have very much time, because you just throw the ingredients together. I don't need anything fresh because I have my wheat, obviously. I have my corn kernels that I grind in my mill. For me, it's probably the easiest bread to bake up. So it's cornmeal. You can mill your own if you have a mill, or just cornmeal from the store. Flour, baking powder, salt, milk, 1 egg, oil, and it calls for sugar. I think I'm going to substitute sucanat. And in the oven right now, I have my cast iron skillet with a little bit of butter that is browning, and I will just pour this dough when it's ready directly onto that butter, so it'll give it a nice crispy underside. We started getting our eggs from somebody who has chickens, and it's just the little things in life. It feels so luxurious to me. So good. We're not really a snacks family, but it is so nice to have snacks on hand. And I think I want to do better about having things like crackers so that I can pair them with cheese. And they're so good. Okay. I think having in my kitchen both slow things like sourdough and quick things like this cornbread at the same time has made me feel like I am not burning out in the kitchen. All right, it is the next day. My son is playing off camera in a cardboard box, so sorry if you hear that. Today I'm gonna get started with some homemade granola. My intention with making this granola is really, one, to have something easy to snack on, but also we have a lot of these packages of nuts that we just aren't reaching for, we aren't eating. But I feel like granola is something that we will eat rather quickly. That is something that I've learned about being an ingredient household, is that if we're not eating something in the pantry, we gotta transform it into something else that we will eat. We don't really have room for things to just sit for months and months on end. Things need to be being used, being emptied, being rebought, or being bought in bulk. I think buying in bulk is the reason that I am able to have such a small pantry, because I have 5-gallon buckets right over here that have 25 pounds of rice and wheat and other staples of our diet. Love her. I always put my excess coconut oil on my hands as moisturizer, especially in the winter. Oh my gosh. Ow, my wrists, holy cow. I don't know why that hurts so bad. Okay, I'll be back when I figure this out. Quickly gave up on that. I'm so glad I had another option. What's interesting about this granola is that it is a sourdough granola, so you're incorporating some sourdough starter, which sounds weird. So the recipe called for rolled oats as well as the nuts. I only had steel cut oats, so I'm interested to see what kind of difference it makes having not rolled oats, having steel cut oats in this. Spread this out on my baking sheet. All right, we're going in. Now the best part is seeing what dried fruit I have. Cranberries, dates, and prunes. There are some fruits that I've only ever had dried, like an apricot, for example, or dates. I wonder what they taste like fresh. I'll have to try it one day. Also, we call raisins raisins, but they're really grapes. We call dates dates, but are they called dates when they're fresh? Or are they called something else? I have so many questions. And if they're not called something else, why do we call raisins raisins? And what do you call dried cranberries? Because I call them craisins, but I'm thinking that's not actually their name, due to the fact that I brought this up to the cash register and I told her, I was intending to tell her that these are not the raisins, they are the cranberries, but I said the craisins, and she said, we don't have craisins. And I said, oh. Anyways, the more I talk, the more questions I get. This will go on the granola when it comes out of the oven. I'm gonna add my fruit in now while it's still warm. Well, I'm feeling a lot better. My pantry is restocked and I'm ready to tackle the week ahead. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.